So I thought I'd blab a little bit. You guys can listen if you want to. I think this is day 5 or 6 probably. So ended up catching right at 11 coyotes, and I was only on really 3 places covering about 3 miles really total. We've got a full moon right now. Temperatures are warming up. Stuff has really slowed down. Full moon, usually, coyotes still eat. You'll still catch some, but in my experience, it's really slowed them down. The one thing that really keeps going with the full moon, for me at least, is bobcats. I have some of my best bobcat nights on full moon. I'm not really in a place where there's too many cats right now, so I'm not running into any of those, thankfully, because I'd have to let them out. But I just wanted to say, some people, when you get to around 12 coyotes or 11 coyotes like I am, and then you have nothing. I had no sets worked last night. People tend to think that they've done something wrong and want to change things up. You can't catch them if they're not there. I think what it amounts to is I'm only covering 3 miles right now, and I'd say I've caught most of the local coyotes. There's probably still some that'll filter in. But when I was taking instruction from Ed Snyder, one of the big things he said that really drove home for me is, if you want to keep catching numbers of coyotes, you got to keep moving and you got to keep setting. With that being said, I think I've pretty much caught the coyotes here. We're getting closer to the time of the year where I don't have to keep letting out raccoons. The pup coyotes are still a little early, but the adults are looking good. The couple I've skinned have been ready to go. So I think today's the first day I've really had off work. I'm gonna go start expanding. I'll leave some sets in at these locations that I've already caught coyotes at. I'm sure there'll be a couple filter in, just because I have plenty of traps right now. If I was low on traps, I'd pull them all together. I'm not here to catch every last coyote that there is. I just want to catch the quick and easy ones and move on. So I've got plenty of traps. I'll leave some in on the usual locations. I'm going to set 2 more locations this morning probably. I've got a golf course, 3/4 of a section around it. Always good for coyotes. I'll show you guys when I get out there. And then I'm probably going to head on up to a feedlot. Probably run into some more mange. It's just how it goes. But I've trapped this feedlot before. It's been I didn't trap it last year. Plenty of coyotes coming in there. So I'm going to go get started on them, I believe. Get the mangy ones out of the way. See if we can get a couple of decent ones out of it. I'll show you guys. I'll try to show you guys, slow down and show you some of my sets today as I make them, some locations. Just try to keep things going for you. But I just wanted to say, people think when they're done with the coyotes, they hit a lull, and they're just not there. So I'm gonna move on and get into another family group. We have plenty of coyotes here, but 11 coyotes out of 3 miles is a pretty decent number of coyotes. Couple family groups at least. The other issue that I'm finding is just letting everything go, raccoons and stuff. But I'm getting to the point where I'm not going to have to let them go anymore, and life will be a lot easier out here on the line. And I'll get some of those cleaned up and out of the way before I run into some of these coyotes. Another thing that I thought I'd mention, every year, I'm pretty much a dirt hole guy. Every year I really like Zagger's pipe dream method. I like how it could be used, and every year I keep telling myself I'm going to try it. Well, as I went along here for this first 6 days or so, I had pipe dream sets next to most of the dirt holes, pretty close, within probably 20 yards. And as you guys saw from my earlier videos, we got some really nasty weather, which is perfect for the pipe dream. I follow it to a T. I'm using steel screen, grass clippings. I'm using his bedding method and the gray conduit pipe for this. But what I can say is, out of the 11 coyotes I caught, I only caught one coyote on a pipe dream set. It was the double by the brush pile was a pipe dream set the first night. And then after I caught the coyote, I changed it over to a dirt hole because there was just too much torn up to make it into a pipe dream again. Other than that, the other 10 coyotes I caught were just standard dirt holes with peat moss and salt. I hit some nasty weather. We were down way below freezing, and the peat moss and salt kept going. I had rain, a little bit of ice, freeze, snow, and the peat moss did fine. So I can understand how some people would like Zagger's pipe dream, and if it works for you, great. I try it every year for a little bit, and it just gets outperformed by the dirt holes. I can make dirt holes faster, believe it or not. I'm in out really short amount of time. I've gotten used to the size of trap beds. I just run the two sizes of traps, MB 550s and the Extreme Juniors. Simple, effective, and I just don't see any reason to change. So I don't intend on setting any more pipe dream sets this year. It just isn't working for me. And good for Zagger. I'm glad it works for him, and I know it works for a few other people, but when I'm just trying to pile up the coyotes here in Nebraska, I just don't see any use for it personally. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. Did my little experiment again this year, and same results. The dirt holes just do much better. Well, I am going to head off now. We'll go get some new sets started. I'll try and show you guys the locations and some traps. I will have a video on the end of this. I did pick up another coyote at the hog unit to make number 11. It's a decent coyote, didn't have mange, skinned it, looked good, was an adult. So there's that, but that'll be at the end here. So we'll see you guys when I get to the other places. So I'll show you guys the location here. Up over that hill, you can see those trees up there. That's the start of a golf course up on the half-mile line. There's two draws that run. The main one keeps going here, going. There's a small dried up pond here, and then it goes across the major highway. There's an old farm place up there. So those coyotes, to cross that highway, they come underneath that tube and they run right up this draw. Don't get run over that way. I've seen coyote tracks up by that farm place in the past, but you know what else is up there? Every raccoon, possum, and skunk known to man. So when I was with Ed, he said, you know, you're a pretty good coon trapper, you're not a very good coyote trapper. And that was because I would always set where I saw sign up there, but I'd end up catching the raccoons and stuff first. So I've moved out farther away. I really like points such as this. You can see that this point comes out along this mowed path. There's a drive there. There's this point of grass. What I went ahead and did, you just come out here in this dirt along here. It's really hard to see on this camera, but there's coyote tracks all along this edge. They're just running right along this edge, hitting this point, and then cutting across or down into this draw. So I went ahead and made a couple sets for you. I thought I'd show you. So this is it. I mean, this is the grand finale. I know it's pretty underwhelming. Standard dirt hole. They've got to come in, they've got to look for it. So I don't get too caught up on the specifics. I did leave one uncovered for you here. It's not quite finished. I just need to take a sifter and blend it in. So I've got this one facing the other direction to catch the other end of the wind. If we come out of the south or the north, I'll get them here. You can see up close there, this one's got a junior in it. So I've got this outside nice and good, and then I've got the inside peat moss. We're not looking at freezing temps for a while, so I'm doing the outside with just regular dirt. I'll go ahead and sift that in. Little bit of a backing there. It was there. I've since stomped on it, but there were coyote tracks right coming across here, so I'm just gonna catch him where he's already walking. Nothing too exciting about it. I'll just blend that in. I know it looks horrible right now, but I thought I'd show you guys how I do it. Nothing exciting there. So I do 2 traps pretty much if I'm not at a place like a feed lot where there's, I think, quite a few coyotes coming in, just the random coyotes out here. I'll just do 2 sets at a stop. So I've got one there, and then I've got one just over here facing the other side of the wind, and we should pick them up here. I'm far enough out and away from the trees. I'll still catch raccoons out here because they'll come out in this corn, but I won't catch near as many as if I would get right up against that old pond or up against that farm place. So trying to get out and away from it, see if we can have the coyotes beat the raccoons out here. That is about it for this location. What I will do, up in the 4 corners of this section, there's 2 fence rows that come together. Always coyote tracks up there, always catch a couple. I'll head up there and see if we got any tracks, and probably set that yet today too, so stay with me here. Sorry if there's a little wind here. So my battery went dead on my GoPro. It's been going all week, so this is off my cell phone. It might not be the best quality. So we were just down over that hill. You can see the farm place over the hill there. There's a draw coming up. I set those 2 traps down there. Well, the draw comes to 3 points right there. You can see there's 3 draws that come, so I set another 2 traps right at that point where all 3 come together. As you can see, there's a grassy draw that comes all the way up here. I've seen in the snow where the coyotes, they'll come right up that draw. The significance of that is there's a highway right over that hill, and they don't want to be seen by cars, so they can come right up over that hill. They come up this grassy draw, and they come out across this open field, and then right down there you can see a low spot. Another grassy draw starts, and that grassy draw runs all the way around to that timber. So those coyotes can essentially go from that timber, once they cross the highway, all the way up this draw, and then they can either cut over, there's the golf course there, they can cut over there, or they can just jump right across here about 50 yards, take this draw, and stay out of sight and go all the way down this way. In the snow, I've seen definitely where the coyotes like to come up this draw and jump over or cut across this field. So I don't really have a need to set that other draw, just because I'm gonna get them when they come across right here. This is where I usually see the tracks. This is usually where they are in the snow and the dirt. I haven't really looked around here yet, but I'd be willing to bet I can walk around here just for a few seconds and probably find some coyote tracks, even though this is pretty solid dirt. Hard telling. Looks like the tractors ran this over pretty good, so it's hard to see the tracks here. But I know from the past, they'll be coming up here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna set a dirt hole on each side of this draw. One there, and one right there. Now I've got plenty of traps right now. I'm not running that many locations, so I can afford to set 6 traps out here. That's what I'm gonna end up setting. Normally, a location like this, I'd set like 2 to 4 traps. That's it. Hit the big spot, move on. In this case, the big spot would be down there where the old pond dam comes up the hill and hits those 3 draws all together. I've got 2 sets there. That's probably the only place I'd set if I was running a big line. You can get most of the coyotes that'll come through here. They'll either come down this draw, that draw from the golf course, or go up that draw towards the other highway. So you can hit all the coyotes that come through there with that. 2 at a time's plenty on a stop like this. You know, there's not a giant population of coyotes out here, probably 1 family unit. So you don't need to be setting 6, 8 traps. It's a waste. The only reason I'm setting 6 today is because I have plenty of traps and I'm not really going that hard on coyotes yet. So I will set 6 and see if we can just take out the family. When we get later on in the year, at the end of November, running those lines, it'll be stops like this. It'll be 2 traps out there on that 3-point draw there, and call it good, move on. Take what's there and go to town. So the good thing about out here is I am way away from the trees. Coyotes cover a lot bigger territory than those raccoons, skunks, possums. So my chances of getting those out here are greatly diminished, which makes me happy. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. I'm gonna go ahead and set this up today and just drop a couple dirt holes in. And then I think we'll be moving on to the cattle lot. Got 6 sets out here. That's more than enough. The end. Thought I could show you guys the end result here. So there's one dirt hole. So we've got south that way, north behind me. So we've got this set for either north or south wind. Mainly we have a wind out of the west, but I never really can judge the north versus south. It looks like south most of this week, but then we'll get a cold front when they move and it'll be north. So I just set usually so I can hit a north-south wind. Right across the way here, got another dirt hole. Really, I do everything you're not supposed to do. I don't have my pan as the low spot. I'm not 8 or 9 inches back. I'm not offset. I just set the trap wherever it goes. I don't pay much attention to inches, this direction, that direction. I do kind of crowd the hole. I know most people say you shouldn't crowd the hole with a coyote. I really find that to be untrue. When I've watched them on trail camera, they almost always lead with their front foot right behind their nose. So if they're smelling down that hole, their foot's gonna be somewhere up in this direction. It's not gonna be clear out here when he's sniffing there. So I don't do the whole, oh, let's go 12 inches back and 3. I just kind of let the pattern dictate what I do. Some coyote tracks there. But yeah, this dirt hole, I just threw it in. Nothing exciting about it. It's actually leading down in there. I've got that pounded pretty deep. I've just got some corn cobs in there. You can put grass in there. If I'm on a cornfield, those corn cobs work nice to just kind of keep them there a little longer. I don't try to make it look like a man made it and perfect. I make it try to look like a coyote dug. And coyote holes I've seen, that's pretty similar to what they look like. Nothing great. Hopefully he comes up and just gets whopped. If you're looking at this dirt hole, I would say my pan is probably somewhere right in there. Right up against that hole. Cuts down on the misses for me. I don't have coyote tracks on my dirt pattern. Walking one way or another, missing, I just catch them. Shoot for the center usually, no offset. I know, I do it all wrong, but I still catch coyotes, so I don't really buy into a lot of the things you read about or hear about, as you'll see this year. Well, I've spent about 15 minutes here getting these 6 sets out. That's long enough. We're gonna go on to the feedlot now. So here we are at the feedlot. They've got the cattle up top there held up right now. They've been cleaning these lots, but usually about 100-200 head of cattle right up against these fences. They stink. It's a natural draw for the coyotes. You've got piles here that they've built up. Out across here is your open landscape where the coyotes come from. So sorry about the wind. I can already imagine it's not going to be too good on this phone. I can go out in that field. There's a fence line running across that pasture. I could set there. I could set those corners. The last time it snowed here and we were here, I think we counted 7 sets of coyote tracks coming in the first night after the snow. I ended up catching 6 of them here, I believe. There's more coming, I'm sure. So when it snowed, you could follow across there, and right out across that, along that cornfield there on that draw, it looked like a deer trail coming across there after we've been trapping here for a while. Couldn't figure it out. Matt finally walked over there, and it was just solid coyote tracks coming along that field edge right up here to these cattle. So I guess what I'm saying is you could go set that draw, you could set along there, you could set along the 4 corners there. that pocket, along that fence line. That's what most people would probably do. In my case, I just let them come to me. So I know the coyotes are coming here to see the cattle. So I'm just gonna set right along this lot. I tried at one time, I've been out here twice. I tried along this little brim here, putting sets. The coyotes had run across there in the snow. I really couldn't get them to commit up there. I think it was probably because it was wide open and they didn't feel as safe there up on the hill. They're definitely touchy little guys. But I come down here, you can see working down along this direction. There's a couple trails, you can kind of break them out coming up out of that draw, and they come right up here into the lot. So I dropped in some footholds here, just a basic dirt hole. Got one there. Popped another one in here. This ground is really loose, so I did have to put a little grass in that dirt hole, mainly just to keep my dirt hole open. I only really do that if I have to. So the reason I did that is, you can see here, you see all those right there? Those are all coyote tracks coming right up here. So they come up that draw right there onto the cattle. So foothold here. Let them come to me. I'm not gonna go drive and bounce around the countryside. I've got a nice beat down path by the tractors here to drive on. They also at some point cross right out of that draw, and they're coming right up here to this edge of the corner. So I've got another dirt hole there. See if we can snag them coming right up this little path here. The other locations I've got in the past, I've done really well with them here. Got this open draw here that runs up the road. And those coyotes come. You can actually make out the trails coming up out of there. If you look, it's kind of hard to see on these videos, but if you were standing here, you could definitely see the trails coming. And as I head down here, you're gonna see a definite trail right there as it starts. Definite trail coming right up out of there. So I know it's hard to see. I blended this one in a little bit, but there's a dirt hole right there along this trail. Then I've got another one, that yellow grass that stands out there in the green grass. Got another hole right there along there. So put 5 sets here, see how many coyotes come. Could probably put more, could put less, but I've got plenty to spare, so we're just gonna try 5. The bad thing about setting in places like this where that solid dirt over there, if we get some moisture, that's gonna be a sopping mess. Right now I've got about 6 days of no moisture, so I'm gonna roll with it, see how many I can pick up before it gets nasty. But this is what I mean by letting them come to you. I don't have to go chase them at all. They're all on their way up here, so we'll see what tomorrow brings.